Welcome to the Art Labs podcast. Our special guest today, someone I met at GopherCon and was so excited to get on the show, Aziz Ramadi. Aziz, man, I can't believe you woke up actually, I don't even know where you are. I woke up early to talk to you if anybody really wants to know. I just poured a cup of coffee. Talk to this man. Where are you coming from, dude?
Well, I also woke up early. I'm in Chicago, so same time zone as you, I guess, for now.
Okay,
But
now I don't feel so bad, man. I thought maybe you're coming from like California or something. I woke you up.
No worries. Thank you so much for having me, Bill. I appreciate it. Real big fan of the pod. Listen to it regularly, so it's truly an honor to be here.
Yeah, now you're on it, dude. So this is it right here. So Aziz had come by the booth and we were talking a little bit. And he said he listened to the podcast. I said, "Well, dude, you gotta be on, man. This is I gotta hear your story now." So tell everybody, give me the 2-minute spiel on what you're doing today. What is Aziz doing today?
Yeah, so my name is Aziz. I'm
Aziz. I keep saying it wrong too. This is how bad I am with names and everything. Aziz.
Yeah.
Sorry, man. Yeah. That's not cool.
No worries. Yeah, so I'm a software engineer, full stack developer, currently at GE Healthcare for the advanced visualization team. We basically build full stack applications that healthcare professionals like doctors and hospitals use to kind of aggregate patients' data and images like CT scans, MRIs, all that kind of stuff.
So I started in the healthcare industry in a company called Vitas, which was a hospice. Okay. And I mean, outside of like heavy regulatory stuff, like the stuff you're doing can directly affect somebody's life. You know, like if you're working on those machines, or I was working on systems that would deliver something from a pharmacy to oxygen or something like that, right? So
yeah, and kind of like I guess that's kind of one of the main reasons we'll talk about it for sure, but like that's one of the main reasons I went for a company like GE Healthcare. Like having an impact with the software you write is something truly powerful, and kind of that's what pushed me to try out this industry, I guess.
I don't know, man. It's kind of scary, actually. Like I did it for like 5 years, and I mean, everything that you do affects somebody's life, and I try to teach that, whether it's directly on their health care or maybe indirectly or directly on their mental. Like you touch everybody's life at this point. There's no way around it. Okay.
Yeah.
But that's like another level of responsibility when you're doing that. So if you don't sort of take responsibility for the software you're writing there, it can get pretty scary pretty quickly.
Yeah. Huge responsibility. I'm still new, so I'm paying extra attention now. Hopefully. But you learn though. Like if you learn those kind of patterns of paying extra attention to the code you write, like when the stakes are, I guess, a little less kind of, I don't know, critical in the future, you'd still have this kind of instinct of paying extra attention to the code you write, and that only can be beneficial, I think. So yeah,
it did for me. I mean, I started my career kind of where you were, and that's never left me. But I always imagine there has to be a lot of C and C++ going on where you are, right?
Actually, right now, the stack I'm working with I'm working on the entire stack, so front and back. The services I work with on the back end are either Java or Go. And then on the front end, it's actually just like plain like TypeScript for now. For some reason, the team I'm working with did not opt in for like any fancy JavaScript framework. So it's just basically it's like a huge TypeScript code base. But yeah, so
I got no problems with that, dude. I got zero problems with that, man. I actually learned TypeScript this year, and thanks. I mean, without editor support, I guess it's no different than JavaScript at that point. But
yeah,
it took me a little bit, but I was happy. I mean, I get it. It just drives me crazy that where you're programming in a language that really isn't a language, because at the end of the day, it all gets converted to JavaScript, right? And you're kind of at some level. I'm not gonna say you're stuck in that world, because if you're the one developing it, you can stay in TypeScript. But for the stuff I was doing, I was kind of trying to give somebody an SDK, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I gave them the TypeScript, but everybody's using the JavaScript. It was just not mind blowing, but just I don't know. It just felt dirty, man. I don't know. I was just like, oh man, it felt dirty.
Yeah. There's a lot of like kind of tweaks and like escapes that you can literally like ditch the entire TypeScript thing, and you're in JavaScript even though your file like extension says .ts.
Yeah, you got to be disciplined, right? Because you could just say, I don't care about, what, a little TypeScript compiler, I don't care about you right now. I'm going off the rails. Yeah, it's wild. All right, we're gonna get back to all this, but I got to get you into the time machine. You listen to the show, so you know where this is going. Yeah. So first, tell me what year you graduated high school and kind of what city you were in. So give me that first. Give me the first.
Yeah, we won't be going way too back to the time machine this time. But yeah, I graduated high school in 2018, and I was in Tunisia, which is a small, tiny country in North Africa, on the Mediterranean. It's like the northest point in Africa.
Wow, dude, I have to look that up, because I don't know that area of the world very well. But you got what the famous country that's Monaco is right over there or something, right?
I mean Morocco.
Morocco. Sorry. So you got Morocco up here,
Algeria.
And then I gotta look this up. Hold on.
Yeah.
So Morocco is one of those places that's on my sort of list of, dude, man, you're like in the thick of it over there, man.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I can't wait to talk about what it was like.
Yeah.
Sort of grown up. But 2018, oh, you're right there on the coast. It's got to be beautiful over there.
Oh, man. It's awesome. It's awesome.
Oh my God. You know what? You're taking me there, dude. I want to see this place.
Oh, you should. You should.
From a local. This is an area of the world that I haven't, the Middle East kind of, in these areas like Morocco, Tunisia, these are areas I haven't explored enough outside of Israel.
Yeah, during the summer, it's just like amazing, and even like during the winter, because you get the entire kind of, because in the south it's just like desert, so you got the north where it's like green mountains, and then you have the coast, and then also you have the desert in the south. So it's like you get it all if you go there.
My on my mom's side, my family's from Sicily, so you're like a boat. What is that? Like a 3-hour boat ride?
Oh, even less. It's like a 2-hour boat ride. Yeah.
Wow, dude, we could be brothers. We're so close. There, all right, that never popped up on my radar. Is it safe for an American right now to like travel there and just come out of a plane and?
I mean, I don't. Yeah, for sure. Like it's super. Like people there are like super friendly. You won't face any issue. There was like some issues back in the 2010s with the entire like kind of political situations and like revolutions happening around that area, but like now it's getting safer and safer, and kind of tourism is kicking back up, so it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Oh man, yeah, this is an area of the world. It's on my it's on my bucket list there. So wow, dude, that's cool. And you graduated in 2018, so we've got a lot to talk. We got a lot of time to cover here, man. So no, all right. So do me a favor now. I know where we're at here. You graduated in 2018, so 6 years there. It's okay. Yeah. 6 years, dude. I mean, there's a lot that could happen in 6 years there. So let me ask you my first question. Okay, don't think about it. I know you've already thought about it because you listen to the show. I want that first memory that you want to share with us of working on a computer.
Yeah, it was, I would say, working on a HP Pavilion A720N, the 2004 HP Pavilion A720N. It's like,
dude, how could you remember the model number down to?
Oh, I remember it because that.
How old were you?
I was 5 years old. and I wasn't doing anything fancy or anything. I was just playing games. But then there was like this sort of funny story I always tell. So I was able to download GTA from the internet at 5 years old, and a 5-year-old shouldn't be playing GTA, right? And then my mom discovered it, and of course she tried to like make me uninstall it and all that kind of stuff. But then I found this trick on the internet where there's like this shell script that you could write, and it would like hide the executable in like some like deep down in the
At 8
file
years
system.
old, at 8 years old, you're hacking.
At five.
Okay, but where at 5 years old, where is this
Yeah.
computer located? Now I got questions. You see,
Yeah.
one, where is this computer located in the house? Because you're playing this in the house, obviously.
I mean, it's located in my room.
And it was still in your room after a GTA download?
Yeah,
Because I would have taken it out.
Yeah, the thing is, we were living in like some like decent sized apartment, but like not that big. And this machine is like huge, so we didn't have like a lot of space for it. That's the only kind of place in the house where it made sense to be. And like my mom tried restricting my screen time and all that kind of stuff, but then I found a way to hack my way around it. And when she was at work, I would pull up the game and be actively listening to the door
Dude,
opening.
how could you? I have one memory. Okay, I'm 55. Okay, I got one memory in my head and sometimes you think these memories are like fabricated, because how could you still remember something when you're that young, right? So kindergarten, I was probably 5 years old. I'm in my little classroom, and it's time. They give you a snack every day, right? At least that's what they did in the 70s. I don't know what they're doing now. Anyway, it was milk and cookies. I drink the milk and it was sour. And I start like throwing up or something all over the place. And to this day, because of that, I can't drink milk straight. Like trauma, right? Like I need to go see a therapist if I want to drink milk straight again.
Yeah, wow, that's crazy. I mean,
But five is a tough. I can't believe you have. I guess because it was that significant.
Yeah. There was like an entire kind of drama around it. Like I don't remember the details, like what were the conversations I was having with my mom and all that kind of stuff. I just remember it was there because I kept doing it till I was like kept doing it for a while till I was like 8 or something, and then I kind of started. Yeah. So
I imagine that your parents were very conservative. Is that right or wrong? Or
for the area and country I grew up in, my parents were not conservative at all. Like compared to the entire to the region, to my environment, like seeing even like my friends at school later on and all that kind of stuff. My parents were not. It's just that the violence was in that game was what was bothering my mom a lot. So yeah.
Dude, no, I'm not even letting my 12-year-old play that game until,
that's what I'm saying.
Because why? It is suggestive at some level of like, I mean, I don't know. I never got into video games, and obviously I got a lot of kids, and the boys got into video games. The girls never did, even to this day. I think I remember them playing that game at some point, but dude, they were like teenagers, right? Like not. What did your parents do for work?
They met at school. Like they met at university, and they were both like computer engineers. But then my mom didn't use her degree that much. She went into like more into a sales role, climbing kind of the ladder at a company that was kind of selling HP solutions back home in Tunisia, and that's how we got that computer. That's how we got that machine from early on. And then my dad.
Why are you saying she didn't use her degree? She used it to sell tech, right?
Like, yeah. But then not in a like technical way, like
not in the engineering. But that's not fair, dude. Come on now. Now you got to apologize to your mom. Now I'm going to make you apologize to her.
Yeah,
sorry, mom.
Sorry, mom.
I said you didn't use your degree. Man, just say it from like across the pond or something, because I don't want you to get smacked. You're still young. You're still old. You're not that old. She could still,
always
hit you.
always. Yeah. Sorry, mom.
My mom. I mean, I grew up in the 70s. Okay, like 70s, 80s. My mom would take swings at me, and I remember in high school. I must have been 17. I don't remember what I did. Maybe I talked back. I'm not saying I didn't deserve it, but she goes to swing at me and I stopped her. Like just reaction, I stopped her hand.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I was panicking because I didn't know what was going to happen next. And my mom just like, I let go of her arm and she sort of walked away. And then I felt this like power, man. I was like, she never took a swing at me again. But now when I think back of it, probably in the back of her head, she was like, I can't believe, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like
that's
as you grow
it.
older.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, you got to be careful, man, because you're still a young man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, but then like I always had this idea of, I don't know, of like my mom not being, I always ask her like, why did you opt in for that degree? Because even when, to this point where I'm like talking about like coding and all that kind of stuff, she's like, I don't know how you can do it. I never got into, I got a degree in it. I was writing code to get my degree, but then
Oh.
I don't know. I guess like
She
also,
didn't enjoy it.
yeah, yeah.
See, now I want to talk to your mom because I wonder, are your grandparents still alive? Are your mom's parents
Yeah,
still alive?
yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
now you have to ask them the next time you all get together. You got to ask them what kind of pressure they put on your mom to get that engineering degree, because I feel like maybe
Yeah, maybe, I
she
don't know.
felt like pressure to get that degree even though she didn't sort of love that work, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
See, these are
I
good
don't really know. Yeah, because
no,
like
but these are the
even now, like even after that, like now she is actually head of a private university back home. Like she's like the like kind of the president of a university back home, a
nice.
private university back home. So she's not even like not in the tech world anymore. So it's kind of, yeah,
She found her way out. I got to get your mom on the podcast, dude. This
yeah,
is some fascinating stuff, dude.
yeah.
I mean, when's the next time you go home and visit everybody? You have to be going home.
It's been a while. It's been a while, just because of like kind of the. We'll talk about. I guess we'll talk about it. But
Yeah,
then
we'll
like,
talk
yeah,
about that
so
later. We'll talk about that later. But
yeah,
I want to talk to your mom now, dude. This is like fascinating stuff. She found her way out, even though your grandparents were like,
shit,
my guess is, yeah, she was pressured to have that engineering degree. She found something that she could do. I'm guessing here completely. She found something she could get through without it being heavy duty.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then the first chance she got, she's like,
Yeah, I mean,
I'm done with
yeah,
this.
yeah. She loves people. Like she loves managing people. That's what she. And now she's like actually doing it. Like she's doing a PhD on top of her, like on top of her work online in management. Like she loves managing people. She loves talking to people.
And
She's,
she's
yeah,
getting a PhD. Is that putting pressure on you? Are you feeling like your mom is like it's okay? I mean, your mom had a head start, obviously, right?
yeah.
So that's fair. But at some point, you become an adult, and now you're seeing your mom like taking things to the next level. Like, is that putting pressure on you to feel like, shit, mom's doing all this? I can't be a lazy. I'm like lazy compared. I'm feeling lazy compared to mom right now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's honestly impressive. It's honestly impressive. Like with everything she has on her plate and doing a PhD after hours at night is like
the,
online. It's actually impressive. Yeah.
the next time you turn the TV on, I don't know how you're living with yourself. Like, man, I'm turning I wouldn't be able. I'd stop watching TV altogether. This is
Yeah.
feeling bad. What about your dad though? Your dad's like engineering.
Uh, yeah, yeah, yeah. My dad, he worked at like a bunch of company. The company he worked the most at was like a telecommunication company. So like, I don't know, the equivalent of like, I don't know, a service provider here, like I don't know, AT&T or something like that,
That's
back
fair.
home. So he worked there for, I don't know, like 20 years. He was a senior director when he left, like 2 years ago now. And now he's working at like he's head of a consulting firm in Gabon. It's like southern in Africa.
And he did heads down engineering all that time.
Yeah, 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 most of it until he was like kind of in a more managerial positions. But even then, he was still like kind of being involved in the engineering decisions
And he
and
hasn't said,
that kind of
"Son,
thing.
I got a job for you over here. Come home." He
Yeah,
hasn't
I mean,
said that to you yet.
no, no.
Wow. Dad, now when you see Dad, I was, Dad, how come you don't want me to work for you, Dad? Not that I would, but it would have been nice if you asked me, Dad.
Yeah.
You don't think I'm good enough, Dad? Is that what's going on? Dude, I'm gonna get you in so much trouble with your family. You better not listen to anything I'm telling you.
No, all good, all good.
Have you talked to your dad? Like, was he a software developer? Was he engineering in C and all that kind of stuff, or was he?
No, he was more on the kind of like network side, or like not even network in the sense of like computer networks. It's more of a like phone networks and all the hardware that goes with it, and all the
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I one of the companies I worked at was we were doing call center solutions. So we had the
Mhm.
big telco switches in there.
Yeah.
And dude, it just reminded me of a story. I got to tell you this story. Okay. Now you got to tell your dad this story. Okay.
Okay.
You promise me to tell your dad this
Yeah.
story. Okay.
Promise. Yeah.
So I had to get, we were a call center solution. So the guy that was working on the piece of software that would do the dial out, he was testing a piece of the functionality, which was voice detection for the answering machines. Because if you're trying to route people to an agent, you don't want to send them to an answering machine. So the idea is you dial, you try to do voice detect. Is it an answering machine or a person? And then you make a routing decision. So he's testing this, and he's testing it in the lab on a live telco switch. And I don't know what he was smoking that day, but he has his home phone number in the list of numbers to dial. Now, Jeff Stout is like a gringo like me, and he's married to a Latin woman, right? So, what do you think is happening every time his phone number gets chosen to do this detection? It's actually calling his house. And his wife keeps picking up the phone. And as soon as she says something, it hangs up because it detects that it's her voice. And this must have been going on for like an hour or something. All I know, dude, is I'm in the lobby of the building and the elevator opens and it's Jeff's wife. And she's screaming bloody murder. Bloody murder. Jeff, you cheating. Bop, 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 bop. Where are you? We didn't want to let her in the building. We didn't want to let her past reception, dude. But I run to Jeff's office. I'm like, Jeff, your wife's out there. Dude, you're a dead man. I don't know what you did. And Jeff's just sitting in his office with his hands in his like, oh my God, dude. It was the scariest thing in the world. He's so stupid, man. His wife thought it was the girlfriend calling over and over again for him, and then and he kept hanging up. Dude, you got to tell your dad this story. I don't know how Jeff survived that day. This was going to be bloody murder.
No, that's funny. That's funny.
So I got some experiences on those systems too. So
Yeah.
so that's super cool.
Yeah, and at some point, like I remember it being like super stressful. Like towards the end of his like kind of engineering days, before he stepped into like the more managerial role, it was really stressful. Like I have memories of my dad waking up at like 3 a.m. because the system of an entire city is like down, and he's like trying to like make a call just right there of what to do to kind of bring it back up before people wake up at like 6 a.m. and start making calls and all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Dude, that's funny. So he's kind of on call, but how do you call
Yeah.
the people on call when the system is down? That's super interesting, man. Wow, I never thought about that. If your phone system is if you're responsible for the phone system and it's down, how do you call? I wonder if you have like a dude.
Yeah, I wonder if
That's
it's like special
beepers.
routing thing. Yeah, I don't know.
He must have had a beeper. Now, see, now you got to ask your dad that.
Yeah,
Dad, I remember you were stressed when the system was down, but how did they call you if the system was down?
yeah,
Like, yeah, dude, I don't. You better start writing all these questions down because I want
yeah,
answers after this
yeah.
podcast,
I
dude.
will. I
I'm
will.
gonna have to come back and get the answers.
Yeah, yeah,
No, that's super. Yeah, I think you get to a point. I'm well there already where you're just tired and you're just like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do the ops anymore. I don't want to be
yeah,
responsible for that anymore.
yeah.
Which is good because you need to have young people like yourself need opportunities. So that's that's where it happens, right? So
Yep.
if people don't get old and tired, then I always think about this, like and I had just seen this on TV and it was super interesting. Like an obvious thing, right? But you live today at this moment in time but 100 years from now, nobody that you know or even yourself will be alive, right? So, like every 100 years, there's a new sort of completely new generation of people
Yeah.
walking around the planet, right? And so you're born into a family, and those are the people that you know and love. But you're also kind of born into a generation of, I don't know, what are we, 5-7 billion people today, right? Like that you're sharing the planet with in this moment in time, and then
Yeah.
we're all gone, and then another 7 billion people are sharing the planet together, right? Like mind blowing stuff. But if that didn't happen, like the J.P. Morgans and the Vanderbilts and whoever would still be have all the wealth and have all
Yeah.
the right. So it's a really interesting thing sometimes when you think
Yeah.
back, or you think about that, because like if your dad and I aren't getting tired and don't want to not do things anymore, it wouldn't leave opportunity
Yeah. Yeah.
sort of others, right? So
Yeah.
so it
That's true.
totally makes sense. But I like that you have these memories in the back of your head, because at
Yeah.
some point you're gonna walk through life at these same moments, and you're going to go, oh yeah, okay, now I know how dad felt here, oh now I know how mom felt there, right? You don't, but you're like really astutely aware of it, which is interesting. A lot of kids aren't until they have these other bigger
Y-
moments in their life.
y- Yeah, yeah. I mean, I started to actually realize some of those things like now, even though been only working for like what now, like little less than 2 years, like full time. And like, yeah, even within like my interactions with people I work with, and as I grow older, facing more and more situations in life, I'm like kind of relating to what I was seeing in my parents when I was a kid. So yeah, yeah, it's actually happening. Yeah.
No, but you have those memories. When I graduated university and I got my first job, my dad looked at me, he says, okay son, now you get to work for the rest of your life. And I'm like, dad, why are you saying that to me, man? Like that doesn't sound good. And now here
Yeah.
I am 55 and I'm still working. Right? These are memories that I have, right? All right. So, um, do you have siblings? Did you have to compete with that computer? No, it was in your
Well,
room.
it was in my room. I was sharing. I mean, until then, I didn't have a sibling when I was 5. But then, right at 5, I got my younger brother, which is my only sibling. He's like 5 years old, younger than me.
All right.
So I was always in charge, even though we had at some point we had to share. But I found my ways around, kind of
Yeah. I mean, you're bigger.
getting yeah,
But
getting the good
5 years,
grades.
a 5 year gap is kind of significant at that younger age. So, would you
Yeah,
say you're more like your mom or your dad? Like, are you more like your mom or your dad
I would
in
say
general?
I would say my dad in terms of like
And
person.
your Yeah, yeah. And your brother is more like your mom then?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. Right. 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 Well, you got so that probably helps. You probably got along for the most part,
yeah, yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't have like a lot of troubles, and we're good friends now. Now that like we're kind of both significantly older, we're
But he's got to be in university right now, or
yeah,
he's just
yeah.
finishing up university.
He's just finished he's entering his sophomore year. He's here in Michigan State. He's in Michigan State now.
Oh, nice,
So yeah,
nice, nice,
yeah, which
nice,
is
nice.
so he's like a 4 hour train ride from me here in Chicago. So he's always, whenever he has like some free time, he's always here. I go up there to visit him sometimes. And yeah, we're
That's
good.
cool.
We're growing closer. Yeah.
Is he? What is he studying? He's not
CS,
engineering. He
CS.
is doing CS.
Yeah,
Oh man, so that's it. The whole family are like.
yeah.
But he might take your mom's track, right? He'll get the engineering degree and then.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, he's very into like he's heavy into like gaming and stuff more than like coding and engineering and stuff. So we'll see how that turns out. But like he's like way more into gaming than I was ever. So, and I introduced him to that because again we had that computer, and he would be like sitting watching me play for like hours, and he wouldn't get tired.
Because you
He
didn't
wasn't.
let him. Because you didn't let him.
Yeah.
He's one of those kids. My boys used to. I don't know. I don't understand this. Okay, explain this to me. When my boys were teenagers, they would rather sit at YouTube and watch other people play the game than play themselves sometimes. I didn't know if that was just like, are we taking laziness to the whole next level now, where you literally just want to sit there and do absolutely nothing but watch somebody else play a video game? I don't understand that.
I also don't get it, and I feel like it got more like this kind of like it's an industry now, like live streaming and playing. It's an entire industry with like the introduction of esports as well. It's an entire thing. Like people are watching people play video games, and it's a very lucrative business. But then, like I feel like it got more and more popular with the introduction of these kind of multiplayer online games. Because back in my age, at least when I was playing, like in 2005, 2006, there wasn't this entire kind of online communities of people playing games. It wasn't as popular as now, I'd say. It was more kind of local. You would have your friend over and you guys would be playing, I don't know, like a game of, I don't know, NBA or any sports game or whatever. Um, but there wasn't this kind of solo online experience.
No, but
I don't
you were
know.
at least taking turns. Like,
Yeah.
you're taking turns or whatever it is, right? So that's fine. But this is like 2 hours of just, I'm not going to play at all. I'm just going to watch this person. And most of these people are just cursing and stuff through a whole video too, right? It's not even
Yeah.
like, and I'm just like, I kind of want to know, man. I just don't get it, dude. Like now I need your brother on this. I need your entire family on this show.
We'll
I
do
got
like a family episode.
I know, man. I got too many questions, dude. I got too many questions that need to be answered here.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's cool. All right. So your brother's in the
5 years
U.S.
younger. Yeah.
Going to university, 5 years young. So you didn't really have to compete too much
Yeah.
for computer time in
Yeah.
there. So
here at Ardan Labs, we believe in empowering companies to reach their full potential through innovative technology solutions. Trusted by small startups and Fortune 500 companies alike, we specialize in high-performance software consulting, training, staffing, development, and now AI. With over 14 years of experience, Ardan Labs has trained over 30,000 engineers and served over 1,000 companies worldwide. Whether you're mastering Go, Rust, Kubernetes, Terraform, or blockchain, we're your strategic partner for performance-grade solutions. Let's elevate your tech journey together. Reach out to Ardan Labs today.
all right. So talk to me a little bit about high school. I have no idea what high school is like. And you said
yeah.
Tunis, right? Like
Yeah.
How does that work in Tunis? Is it like the U.S.? Is it you do
It's
4 years until you're 17, 18?
yeah. It's very similar to the US. Like pretty much identical to the French education system. Just because it like Tunisia was like a French colony. So we still kind of inherit that. So yeah, you do actually the education system is slightly different in the sense that you do 6 years of elementary school, followed by 3 years of middle school, and then 4 years of high school. So when you graduate, you're technically it's the year where you're turning
13.
19
Okay.
rather than you're turning 18. So when you graduate high school, it's like the year you're turning 19 years old. So yeah, it was like 4 years. And we had this kind of system where you, after middle school, you take sort of a national exam that every single student at that level takes in the nation. And then based on the scores of that, you get placed into what we call kind of, it's like, they're called like elite sort of high schools, where like people with the best scores in that national exams go to those high schools.
So basically, based on the maturity level that you're
I
at,
mean, based on your grades, I guess, more than maturity.
dude, I was so I'm saying it that way because I was so immature for the
Yeah.
longest time that like I would have been placed in the lowest bucket. Hated school. I was really immature. That didn't change for me, I think, even till after college, right? Like for whatever it is. I think my parents started me a year early.
Okay.
And it didn't help me. So when I hear these sort of stories like when you turn 13, we're going to test you and it's going to dictate the rest of your life. I'm like, 13, dude. Like that feels super like, I don't know, man, like scary that you have to be at a certain maturity level. I call it maturity at the end of the day, man. At that age to make the right grades. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. I don't know. I always had this like kind of weird relationship with school. I was good and I was doing well at it, but I never like particularly liked it. Like I was always, I don't know. I was always hanging out with the kind of the bad crowd, like even in classrooms and everything. But at the end of the day, I was getting the good grades. So I don't know. I think I think maybe it's maturity because like when it came to it and I had an exam tomorrow, I would sit there for like 3 4 hours grinding all the stuff that I didn't like
Okay,
kind of
now
learn back then. So
was it
yeah.
maturity or was it fear? Were your parents on top of you for the grades, or they didn't see the report card until the end of
Not
a semester?
Yeah, I mean, not yeah. That's the thing. Like, they wouldn't even like care. My parents were like super. I had like I was comparing to my friends at school. Like, their parents would be like they would know every single detail about all their homework and all that kind of stuff. My parents were not. My parents were at work the entire day. They would be back late at night, and it would be time for bed by the time they're there. So I had to do everything by myself pretty much when it came to that. So I don't know. I don't know what it was. It wasn't even fear because they didn't even like care that much about grades. But I
But
don't know.
you kept your grades up,
Yeah.
assuming you were A and B. I was a C student all through high school, but my parents knew. My dad didn't care. It was my mom, right? Like
Hmm.
she knew that this is who I was, right? So C's and better, I was. They leave me
Yeah. I
alone. I
was.
started
Yeah.
getting the D's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was mostly A and B's. So and then came that national exam, and I was able to get a good like rank that allowed me to go to one of those high schools that was like close to my house. So because there was a lot of those high schools all around the country, but then depending on your grade, and it wasn't the capital, so those were kind of ranked higher in terms of like the rank you needed to get to go there. So yeah, I was able to get a spot,
Was that stressful? Is that a stressful time for every kid? How old are you when you're taking this exam? You're like 12,
oh,
13, right?
yeah, I'm taking this exam in 2014. So yeah, I was like pretty much between 14 and 15 years old. So it's kind of it's hard. Like I don't agree with that. Like if you ask me now, I don't agree with that system. It puts a lot of pressure
It's
on
stressful.
kids. Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
and
14, even 14. That's, I mean,
it's not easy. Like it's really not easy. It's like an entire year worth of like, even though it's still like middle school mathematics, but it was still kind of hard. And then there was like French, Arabic, English, and you're taking all those subjects in like the span of 3 days. So you have like 3 days, and you're taking 2 exam a day, so 6 exams in 3 days. And based on that, you get placed into it like a. If you rank well, you go to like one of those high
I
schools. Yeah.
almost feel like the school system, and I'm sure the schools are ranked on your grades because that's how they do everything today.
Yeah.
I almost feel like your entire education up to that point is for this test. Like they're not giving you education in terms of like when I was growing up in the 70s, your education wasn't really to a test. It was to just educate you on a whole subject of things, right? But
Yeah.
now it's just like, do they like mention this test the whole time? By the time you're 14, it's the test, the test, the test, the test, the test.
Yeah, yeah, and it actually like forced because those 6 subjects you took at the exam were not the only things you were taught in school, right? You were taught way more, but you stop paying attention to those other subjects at the end because they don't really, at the end of the day, for that exam, they don't really matter. And then, you, and that like what happens then is that you don't get to learn what they were trying to teach you, and you just forget everything by the time that exam comes, and you're only thinking about those subjects. So yeah, if you ask me now, not a good system. I hope that it's still like that right now. My brother had to go through it, so hopefully one day it changes. But yeah.
So I'm gonna have this conversation with you, right? Because in Florida, all the schools started getting ranked and funded based on the state exam. And all of the schools went heads down, like, this is all we're going to focus on all year. Because if the kids don't do well on this test, we lose our funding, we lose our money, we lose our bonuses. And I I think that was horrific, right?
Yeah.
Horrific, because you're not educating, and all you're doing is putting stress on teachers, you're putting stress on kids. But and when I was going to school in New York, we had state exams, okay, and we had to study, and we had to pass, and you had to take your SATs if you want. Like, it's sometimes I feel like, you know what, we had generations of people, myself and before us, that had to do these things, and we all turned out okay. Maybe we turned out better for it because we had this sort of stress and pressure on us to succeed. Where um, I just wonder sometimes, are we allowing people, and I'm not saying this is a situation, but we're allowing people to get soft now because somebody said, I didn't like that when I was growing up, so we're going to change it. But maybe we shouldn't be doing that all the time, because sometimes some of that sort of pressure and work ethic and sets you up for life, where now we're just telling everybody you get a participation trophy just for showing up, because I don't want to hurt your feelings at such an early age, right?
Well, it's a double sword edge, I would say, for sure. Because yeah, it teaches you stuff. It teaches you to be rigorous, and we'll come to it for sure later. But when I came to university here, I was like, I had the work ethic that a lot of people that went to like U.S. schools and they were like freshmen like me didn't have, and so that for sure helped. But what I'm saying is putting so much pressure on kids at such a young age, and then disregard a lot of kind of foundational knowledge in like favor of a test can have an impact. Because right now, if you're not like in Tunisia right now, I feel like if you're not actively seeking knowledge outside of school, outside of the education system, to kind of grow your general knowledge foundation, it's kind of hard for you to keep up. Like you would be graduating high school and all you are is like a mathematics machine, or like a science machine. And I don't think that's very, very good. So
No,
yeah.
I agree with you. 14 is too young to do that. 18 is fine, I think, but
Yeah.
14, I would not be. I would not have. I wouldn't. At 14, I was so mature. I would not have. But maybe, see, I don't know. I can't even tell you. Maybe the parents are different at that point because your entire life is dependent on a test at 14. I mean, that's horrific. But you did
Yeah.
okay, dude. You did
Yeah.
well enough to go to the high school at home. What would
Mhm.
have happened if you didn't do well enough to go to that high school at home? You would have to. I
I
mean, at
mean,
14, you're not leaving the house, so
yeah, I'm not leaving. You just go to like what we call like you just go to a high school that's still probably close to your house. It's just not that.
it's
It's
not
like
that high school.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
not that,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And then when
yeah.
everybody asks you where you go to school, you're just like, not that high school.
Yeah, yeah,
You
pretty
avoid
much
the
it.
question. No, I can't tell you because it's going to upset people. I'm not going to, you know where I'm at, but I ain't going to tell you.
Yeah, yeah. And actually like that level of pressure keeps up through the entire like 4 years. Because if you through those like 4 years, if you get, I think so the ranking system was like out of 20, so that you'd get an average out of 20. And if you get like less than 12 out of 20 in average out of like certain subjects, so like math, physics and science in my case, you would get kicked out. You would have to like leave that high school.
Oh,
You would have to leave that high school and go to the like kind of the other ones. After, imagine like that. And I had friends, it was like heartbreaking. Like I had friends with me for like 2 or 3 years, and then at some point they had to leave. And for like their last year of high school, instead of being seniors with their like friends, they're in a completely new environment, studying with
oh man.
strangers basically. So it's like
So, but
yeah,
okay, but it wasn't a surprise, right? Like they're your friends. You know they're not getting good grades. So
yeah,
were you on their back at some point saying, dude, look,
yeah. I mean, we
man,
were we
study
were trying.
because
Yeah.
yeah, right? But you can't help somebody that won't help themselves, right?
Yeah, and I
Now,
remember. I remember. Sorry to interrupt, but
no,
like I
no.
remember at the end of like one those years, like the final exams, we were staying with those people with our friends and staying up late at night, kind of trying to I don't know, inject as much information as we can before the exam into their heads, so they can, I don't know, maybe a miracle would happen and they would stay. But then yeah, it doesn't work out that way.
The only
It's
miracle would have been them sitting next to you during the exam and you having a little paper over your ear.
yeah.
That would have been the only miracle, man. Or you needed the Google Glass at the time. See, that's where you went wrong. You should have bought the Google glasses. You should have coded it because you're an engineer.
Yeah.
And then your friends could have been wearing it, and then you could have been throwing answers up on the glass, right? Who would have known? There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
So
So
you know what
mhm.
you put pressure on your brother though now because you got into that high school. now you put
Yeah.
pressure on your brother, right? Did he
Yeah.
ever feel that, or was it pressure or a challenge for him, do you think?
I mean, it's a pressure. I feel like it was, now that I reflect on it, it was pressure. And so my brother actually didn't go to my high school. Like, he couldn't get into my high school at the end. But at the end of the day, like, it was fine. And now that I'm reflecting on it, I'm saying, like, hey, I was like grinding and all that kind of stuff, and it was good. It's good. It benefited me that I went to the high school, but I don't know, like, I don't want to say it wasn't worth it, because it was a great experience. It was a good experience, even though it was hard. But like, my brother turned out just fine, and it wasn't that big of a deal. It wasn't as big of a deal than I was thinking when I was 14. Let me put it that way.
Okay, but do you
Yeah.
have like my family, with my kids and my siblings, we're really sarcastic. We tease each other, like, out of love. We don't,
Yeah.
there's a line where the teasing becomes hurtful, but
Yeah.
I could, I could see you teasing your brother for a little while. Go, where did you go to high school? I don't remember. Where did you go? Right? Like,
Yeah.
teasing him a
Yeah.
little bit, right?
Yeah. Yeah. There was some of that. Yeah. So,
I think
yeah.
what happens is I'm going through this now with number 6. Okay, she's going to be a senior in high school. She's looking at colleges. She has this sort of dream list of undergraduate universities she wants to go to, and even the high school she goes to is a high end high school, right? She's super smart. She had the grades. I'm glad that she's going to this high school, though it's a commuting nightmare to take her there, right? But I've said this sort of to my wife a bunch of times, and I'm trying to tell them the same thing sort of with the college. I go, I, I think the local high school around the corner is probably giving you close to the same education you're getting in the other school. Now, the difference is the school she's going to now, they do put a lot of pressure on you to go to university. They create more opportunities for you to have a resume that helps you get into the other schools where your regular public school wouldn't be doing that, right? There's the benefit, right? They're so focused on you going to university, they're making you do 100 community service hours instead of 40. They're making you do this and making you do that. So there's some value in that because they keep you on the track. But one thing I'm seeing that's getting lost, and this happens in Miami more than anywhere else, is you don't know your neighborhood kids anymore.
Yeah.
You're not going to the school that community is going to. You're going to a school it's a half an hour drive away, right? And so you don't have a single friend around the corner anymore. And that was their whole lives. Their whole lives they went to a school that wasn't necessarily the community school. I made it a point for my kids that I'll get in the best school district that I can, but they had friends. If they wanted to go see their friend, it was a 5-minute car drive, maybe 10.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I feel like some of that gets lost when all you're focused on is like the next 4 years. But I think college-wise too, it's the same. I've tried to tell her, like, I went to a state university of New York in the middle of upstate New York, like by the Canadian border, right? No name school. SUNY Potsdam. Nobody knows that school.
Yeah.
And just like you're saying about your brother, like, he's doing fine. I did fine without the Notre Dame on my resume. Now, what I think happens is it's you end up being fine, but it's harder to get the first job, and it just takes a little bit longer to get to where you are. Because I have some friends that have big name universities on their resume, and they got jobs like that, right?
Yeah.
So you got to work a little harder, I think, in the beginning, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And now it's like more like the big name thing is kind of getting bigger than ever now, with the entire, like, kind of what's happening in tech and everything. Like, like, we were at the point where having a CS degree or an engineering degree didn't really matter that much, but now we're back to the point where not only you need to have a good, like, an engineering degree, but it pretty much has to be from a kind of a decent school. It's getting back up there. So,
well, when you have 100,000 people competing
yeah,
for the same job, right?
yeah,
How are you going to filter out? See, we were at a point in the industry where we had more jobs than people. So if you showed any aptitude, then it was like, come on over. But now when it's the reverse, you got less jobs than you have people, and you've got to filter out 1,000, 5,000 resumes. How are you going to do that? How are you going to do it? The first way you're going to do it is just going to look at the education box.
Credentials,
right?
Yeah.
And I expect that I'm hoping all that changes again next year, but this is not the time to be looking for sort of, people are getting hired, don't get me wrong, but I see people on Twitter that, not that followers mean anything really, but I see people on Twitter with 25, 50,000 followers because they're educators or they've done something of significance in terms of community, and then they can't even sort of get a job. That's like that's just sort of right. You've proven yourself to be at some level an expert in something, and now you can't even get a job in the industry you're an expert in.
Yeah.
Whoa. So all right. So talk to me about high school, because I guess this is interesting. You take this big exam, you figure out what high school you're going to go to, but we're talking about how important the academics are, but high school isn't just about academics. I mean, you have to also be, are there sports in these high schools? Is it music? Is it arts? You've got to be doing something more than just academics.
Another thing that I kind of hope that changes in my country's education system is the kind of the relationship between sports and academics. Because like here in the US, you have teams within the high school, like within the school itself, you have teams of every single sport you can think of pretty much. Back home, teams are like independent entities. So you would have like the team. Like, I don't know. For in my case, it was soccer. So I was so into soccer. I was playing all the time, and I was playing in like with the team I support now. So it's like a professional team, but then it has like those youth kind of sections that people go into. So I was playing there, but then I go to this high school, and you always have kind of I talked about like that average that you had to get in order to stay in the school, but they don't take into account that people have, I don't know, like
lives
lives
outside.
and imagine me at like 14 or 15, and I'm going to school from like pretty much 8 to 6 every single day, Monday through Friday.
8 to 6?
Yeah. And I'm in school 8 to 6, and then I have to go to training at like 7 p.m. When am I going to do my homework? Like, when am I?
Dude.
Yeah, it was painful. So at some point you had to choose like either school or sports. And yeah, I had to make this choice early on, and it was school for me. And I had to like drop kind of, I mean, I didn't quit soccer completely. I was still playing for fun, but I kind of left my team. Like I couldn't be in the team anymore.
That's 8 to 6. Like at least in the US, your high school ends at about 2:00. So you could go and do things, right? But so are you telling me then that if somebody decides they want to be a professional soccer player and they're good enough, do you think you were good enough if you had stayed?
No.
Okay.
No, I wasn't good enough.
So you realize that, right? Because I mean, there was a kid playing in I don't know if it was the Euro or the Copa, who was 16.
It's the Euros.
It was the Euro. He was 16. Like 16. First of all, you're on a field with men, okay? And they don't. Well, if it was in the Copa, he probably would have got decapitated, because in the Copa, my wife's from Colombia, so they're brutal out there. I wouldn't even want to be a ref on the field, man. At least they're a little more civilized in the Euro Cup. But 16, I mean, I don't even understand how somebody can identify that kind of talent. I don't play soccer, so I play baseball.
That kid, like for example, he was in La Masia, which is the kind of the academy of Barcelona, which is one of the greatest academies of all time in terms of like kind of generating talent. But they have like an entire, since they're like, I don't know, 9 or 10, they have this entire kind of plan of combining both like studies and soccer, right? So in my case, the two institutions weren't even aware of each other. Like my high school didn't have anything to do with my team, and my team didn't have anything to do with my high school. They were two separate entities, and you were in the middle. You had to like kind of figure out schedules and all that kind of stuff. So you can't do it. Like at that level of academics, at least for me, like it was too much. So I had to
No.
choose. And
But if you're good enough to play soccer, you know what I mean, professionally, right?
yeah,
Then you go into the other high school, I guess, that gets out at
pretty
God.
much, yeah. And you start like, even then, like you start not caring about your grades at all. Like you start like, because again, they're two different institutions, so you don't get this kind of, you don't get like, oh, you don't get a, I don't know, a C, you don't play. If you don't get a C, you don't play. You don't get that. So people start like ditching their high school grades, and they start like repeating years, and that's why right now, like most of, I don't know, I don't have like exact numbers, but I would say most professional athletes back home, like if you look at their education level, it won't go past high school, because they would drop out once they're like for sure going professional. They would just drop out school. Yeah,
because I don't know what percent, right? 1% of those kids end up making it to the next level, and now you've got a whole bunch of kids without the resume they need to get sort of work, right?
Yeah, and even then, like an injury or anything can happen. Even if you make it to the next level, like the next day you're training and you have like a, I don't know, career-ending injury, you're sitting there, you don't even have a high school diploma. What are you gonna do? So
we talk about scary. This at the college level in the U.S. all the time, right? Which is a lot of reason why these kids leave college, because of the injury potential. But when that happens, if you don't have the education, you're it's complicated, right?
Yeah,
I mean, and they're doing it already to these kids by the time they're 14, 15. You would think that the soccer clubs would at least bring on tutors or something, or do homeschooling at that point.
Yeah, but it doesn't.
But those kids you're not getting paid at that. Are you getting paid at those lower levels? No, right? You're just happy to be on the team because there's your opportunity. Wow, man. So you had to make a choice between the academics or the soccer. My guess is you realized that you were not. My guess is by the time you're 16, you know already.
Yeah.
You know,
you see that a lot of people are like way better than you are, and even though you're still decent, you played your whole life, but still, and I don't know, you kind of, and then there comes also like, I would say in this kind of situation, parental kind of guidance plays a role, and parental, I don't want to say pressure, but yeah, I mean, my parents were leaning more towards me going like to school, and they were putting more importance there than it is for soccer, which is understandable. So yeah, I had to make that choice, and yeah, I was still playing soccer with my friends here and there during breaks, during vacations, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, stopped playing.
Well, you can still play intramural, at least in the U.S. My son is 21. He's playing on a team right now. I mean, you have adult level intramurals that you can play.
We still have that, and we also had like some small competitions between like high schools during like vacations and holidays and all that kind of stuff. So that was still going on. But during the school year and during when class was on, it was pretty much all about academics.
You see, to me, that's the part that misses out, because we used to have rivalries against all the high schools, right? Because of sports, whether it was football or whatever it is. I mean, to the point where, again, not proud of it, but God forbid a group of us met a group of them anywhere, a fight was on, right? Like, I mean, that level of, I don't want to call it hatred, just I'm going to call it pride in your school, right? So, and all that sort of gets lost when you're not connecting these things. We're going to see it in college sports now, because one of the reasons I love college sports in the U.S. is that you have this just sort of pride,
this passion,
school, right? This passion, your pride. This is your school, right? Nobody's messing with it. And then those athletes come in, and they're supposed to be there for 4 years, and they're supposed to grow in the same love that you have for the university. And now what's happening is they're coming in for a year and leaving, and now they're going to get paid. They're going to be employees. You're essentially turning college sports into a professional sort of sporting league, and I think it's going to destroy the beauty of what college was, especially for these kids as they get older. They won't have that affinity and love for their university, right?
Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
it's sad to me. It's sad where all that's going. All right, so you decide at some point, I'm switching. I'm going heads down academics. I'm not going to be the next Messi. It's just not going to happen, and that's okay. I mean, even Messi isn't even Messi anymore, right? You saw what he did to his ankle. Did you see his ankle in that game, dude?
Yo,
it looked like he had
thing...
a donut on that ankle, man.
Yeah. It was in Miami too. Were you guys there?
Yeah, that's where he.
Like,
yeah, he lives there.
No, but
I'm in Huntsville. No, I'm in Huntsville, dude. In the stadium, they want. Did you know what the aftermarket ticket was?
That's why I was asking.
No, screw that, dude.
And I saw the riots, like people trying to get in without tickets and all that kind of stuff. It was wild out there on Sunday.
The passion that the Latino community has for soccer is beyond comprehension.
Yeah, and we inherited a lot from them back home. Like our groups, like supporter groups, they have this the influence of Argentinians and Colombians and Brazil fans. So if you go back home, if you go to a stadium and like, I don't know, like a derby game or like a big game, you see scenes that you thought you would only see in Latin America, but they're there now. So yeah.
The NFL is the closest we get. The NFL is the closest we get, though. Americans just drink too much and then fight, not because of the game, just because we're fighting for personal dumb things, right? Like, it's complete opposite. But I had never seen anybody. I mean, I know that stadium. I have never seen anybody do the things that I saw to get into that state. But you almost can't blame them, because the cheapest aftermarket ticket was $1,500.
Yeah.
Dude, I won't spend more than $300 on an individual ticket for anything. I don't even care if it's Notre Dame, bro. Like, you're high as a kite, right? So it's almost like they forced that situation to happen with the aftermarket pricing. But I mean, people are willing to pay it. They're gonna charge it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're in high school now.
Mm-hmm.
You're in the high school based on those grades. You're getting rid of soccer. You're keeping your grades up. You're going to graduate. It's 2018. You're 19 years old. I have to imagine, like everybody else now, especially with the high school you're in, you're expected to be going to university next.
Yeah.
Whether you really want to or not, you're expected to go to university.
Yeah, that wasn't even a question. So what happened is, I think my junior year of high school, I was surfing the internet and I started reading about, I wanted to go abroad. Like, I had this idea of, hey, I'm going to university to study abroad. After I'm done, I just want to leave Tunisia. I want to see other countries, and I wasn't sure where I was going.
Wait, let me interrupt you for 1 second.
Yeah.
Had you done any traveling before this decision? Have you been traveling around at least?
Yeah, so I was fortunate enough to go to a couple of places in Europe, just with my family during vacation.
How strong is your passport? Does your passport
it's not that
give
strong.
you access? Not that strong.
Not that strong. You would have to get visas for all Europe, the US, and
you have to get visas.
Yeah, but then visas when you were a kid or like when you were a teenager were not like that hard to get, especially like you get it through your parents too. Like my parents had visas, so when I go to apply to travel with them, like a visa was pretty much granted. So it was.
And you can get a long-term visa, right? A 3-4 year visa.
I mean, no, you would get. It started decreasing. So when I was like, first time I traveled, I think I was like 13 or 14 years old. I got like a 3-year or 4-year visa. Or not even that. I got like 2-year visa, and then later on it started decreasing. It was like 1 year, 6 months. As I started approaching 18, they would start to get more like kind of restrictive there. Yeah, that's Europe. Yeah, that's Europe. For the US, I got.
You don't have to surrender your passport for these visas, do you? Are they electronic visas?
No, you have to give your passport, so they have to stamp it. They stamp it, and then they give you back your passport. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So you have some experience traveling.
Mm-hmm.
Did you like Europe? Was Europe?
Yeah. I loved Europe.
Europe was exciting.
Yeah, Europe was exciting. Barcelona, especially. I went to Spain, and then I went to, I think it was Prague, like Czech Republic. I love that place. And I was like, I'm going abroad. I don't know where. I will do some research regarding like education systems and all that kind of stuff, and I'll go there. And then I started researching, and I came across like US universities, and I didn't know anything about like universities in the US, all the like the system and everything. It's just like it felt like I was looking at some pictures here and there of campuses, and I was like, this looks like the movies I was watching. I want to go there. I want to be there. So I started researching the process, and it turns out it's like an entire like thing of like recommendation letters, and like the application process is like super complicated, because for us back home to go to a university like there locally, you just have to sit for another national exam at the end of your high school years, and then based on your ranking again, you get to kind of enter different universities. So it was like no letters of recommendation, no extracurriculars or anything.
Just pass the test.
Yeah. And now I'm looking at all these requirements, and I'm like, wow, I'm lacking so much in like extracurriculars and all that kind of stuff. I have the grades, and I can probably like translate my transcripts that are in like French or Arabic to English, and it will probably work out. But like, how am I going to do with all this other stuff? So
and also, the cost. You weren't worried about the cost?
Yeah, and the cost too.
Okay.
And also like how. So we have a very kind of restrictive banking system, like making payments abroad is not that easy. Like you have to go to the like central bank and all that kind of, like you have to go through some loops to get there. So I had to make like a really small university list. Like it was like 3 or 4. And the only metric I saw was kind of my SAT score. So the first thing I did was like I registered for like an SAT exam without knowing what an SAT exam is. I just like prepared for like a weekend.
What did you get? What did you get on the score? This was out of 1600 or out
of 1600.
Okay.
I got a 1410.
What?
And I prepared for like a week.
Wait, time out. My number 6 got a 1420. Okay, which is a ridiculous score. Yeah. She got that in 11th grade, and it's only because her math she hasn't learned enough math yet. That's why.
It was the opposite.
Your English was that strong?
No, it was the opposite for me. I got like a perfect score in math, and I got like whatever the rest was in English.
A 600, but still.
But I mean, yeah, my English wasn't that bad, but then the math portion was like, because our math back home, again, like we were studying 8 to 6. We better have like good like advanced math courses. So yeah, my math was pretty advanced for that test. So I knew everything that wasn't there without even having to study. So all the study time I put into English.
600 on the English side,
yeah,
is pretty good, dude. I'm not even going to tell you the score I got in 1986. You'll laugh at me. It's bad, but that's mind blowing, dude. Wow.
So yeah. So to kind of go fast forward, kind of shortlisted some universities based on that score. And then I had to go through an entire like process of writing my own recommendation letters, because my teachers were not that good in English. I had to write my own recommendation letters, give them to my teachers for them to sign them, and then create an account for them in like a common app so that they can go ahead and like upload the PDF I sent them. And I had to go through like an entire process. It was like me and a couple other people in my school who wanted to try out this US university route. And we did this entire thing of trying to like get recommendation letters, like, I don't know, a math teacher in my school pretended like he was my school counselor so that they can like provide a letter there. And it was an entire like thing.
But at least they were helping you out, right? That was good.
Yeah.
They were helping you out.
However they could. They were not that good in English, so they couldn't write like full letters. They would write it in French, and we would have to like kind of translate to the best of our ability to English. And it was an entire process. But then fast forward, and again, like the applications for US schools happen like in December, right around December, January, those were the deadlines. So by the time I'm like taking that national exam, I already had my acceptance from Purdue.
Wow, good for you. You're a Boilermaker, man.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah. That's not an easy school to get into. That was good. I mean, you got to go to Indiana, dude, which at that point you should have went to Notre Dame. That's just me, dude. I don't know.
So yeah, I had my acceptance letter for Purdue Computer Engineering.
How did that feel? Time out. So you did a tremendous amount of work. right? Your teachers are supporting you, your parents are supporting you. You apply to a bunch of schools. The letter from Purdue comes back. One question though, by the time you get the Purdue letter, had you already been rejected by any other schools, and you're feeling like the movie Rudy, right? Like this is my
Yeah.
last chance, or was
It
this like one of the
was
first ones?
no, actually. So I applied to I think I got another acceptance from another school. I think it was I forgot.
You
It
don't
was a
even
school.
remember where you
I
applied, dude?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I don't even remember where I applied because
You
I just
remember when you're 5 years old hiding GTA on a computer, but you
yeah.
can't tell me like 5 years ago the schools that
Yeah,
you applied to.
because I didn't know the name. Not now I know the system. Like I know the names. I know where schools are after going through it. But back then, it was a completely new word for
So
me.
then why Purdue? Why you just went, let's see where the wind is blowing? Like why do
no,
you
I was
choose Purdue?
I waited for all the acceptances to come. I had like three
No,
acceptances.
but why even apply to Purdue? Like you don't remember the other universities.
Oh, because my SAT range, like my SAT score came into that range. Like Purdue was the range for it. It was a good engineering school, so I was like based in my head, like my entire life. It was based through rankings. Like I didn't know any better, so I was looking at rankings in engineering, and then based on those rankings, looking at which schools my SAT score would fit in, and that's the only criteria I took. So
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
so when Purdue came back and it was like a top 20 school in computer engineering, I was like, yeah, I'll go there.
I'll be a Boilermaker. That's not
Yeah,
a problem. But now you
yeah,
got to pay for it. That's got to be like 60,000 a year with
yeah.
living expenses.
I got some like help. I got like some some scholarship help, so it drove it a little bit down, but it was still quite expensive.
So you had to get a job, and then at that point, when you're in the U.S. and all that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I was working through I mean, even then, like I was still getting some help from my parents, a lot of help from my parents. But at least for my expenses, I had to like kind of take. Like I was always doing like 2 or 3 TA jobs during all the semesters I was doing. Yeah, so I was always a TA at school.
But I don't want to jump that far. So you get accepted, right? You got accepted to a
Yeah,
couple of schools, but you know now that you can go to the U.S. and go to
yeah,
university, right? Like
yeah.
super exciting, and it's a
So
good sports program. So you're really excited about. I'm excited about that. I want my these last 2 kids to go to a good sports school.
yes.
No school that can really compete with Notre Dame, because I can't have that. But
So now the fun part comes. Like there's a big story coming up now because
okay,
I have to sit for that exam, right? Like the national exam. I still have to sit for that, even if I'm not planning to go to a school in Tunisia. I have to sit for that exam because
you
I have
still
to
have
get
to pass high school. Yeah.
I still have to get my diploma, right? So I sit for that exam, and I studied for it because it's a big deal back home. Like people throw parties after that exam if you pass, and it's a
Wow.
big deal. So you take
Do
it
people not
seriously.
pass? People don't pass this exam and not graduate?
Some people don't. Yeah, they have to repeat like their senior year. They have to repeat their senior year if they don't.
Oh my
So
god.
yeah, I'm sitting there. I'm taking this exam, and I'm accepted. So it's not like I'm not that pressured. I sit for the exam, and then the grades come out like in June or like late June, and I'm ranked top 18 in the country out of 10,000 people taking the exam.
That's because you were so relaxed when you took
Yeah,
it.
and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, that puts other stuff now because now I'm getting, I'm eligible for like a scholarship from the country itself, from the state, to go study in France for completely free.
Oh.
And I'm now, I already accepted Purdue. Like I sent my acceptance, and
Well, I mean, it's not a
and
jail
I,
sentence.
yeah, but I have that, and I'm like, this, I can't say no to this. Like even though I want to go to the US so bad, and France wasn't like, this education system is not that
Plus,
great in
it's
my
your native
opinion.
tongue. It's your native tongue. Everything's going to
Uh,
be easier.
yeah, I mean it's my second language. My native tongue is Arabic. So,
Arabic.
but
Okay, sorry.
yeah.
But you're
So, but
fluent
it's
in French.
yeah. I study all the technical subjects in French. So I take it. I send an email to Purdue, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm going to France.
Wow.
And they were like, yeah, okay, sure, and whatever.
Whatever. I got a waiting list here. Somebody else is coming
yeah,
in.
yeah. But now I'll kind of, and then comes like September, and I have to go there, and I go, and I hate it. Like the university I was in was like a, it was like a, the dorm I was in was like a jail. Like it was like jail. It was like a jail cell. We didn't have Wi-Fi, and we had to turn off our phones at 9. I was like, I was home. My parents didn't have those restrictions on me. What are you talking about?
Right.
I mean, I got out of home to be like independent, and I want to feel that independence. And now you're telling me that I can't even have my phone turned on past 9 p.m. Like, what are you talking about? So
did you have even restrictions? You had to be in the dorm by a certain time too.
Yeah, you can't leave post 6 p.m.
Dude, you went to like boarding school.
Yeah. And the reason why, because like you don't get to engineering schools directly in France. You have to sit through this 2 years preparatory program to take yet another exam after those 2 years that would decide which engineering school you would go to. And then I spent 2 weeks there, and I called my dad, and I was like, Dad, I never did this. I was always good in school and all that kind of stuff, but I can't do this anymore. I want to go back home. And before making that phone call, I sent an email to Purdue, and I was like, hey, is there any chance I could come in for the spring semester, like in January? Would you still accept?
I made a mistake.
Yeah. Would you guys still accept me? And I waited for I felt like, I don't know, like a month before they got back to me. And I was like, following up. And then at the end, they were like, yeah, sure. You still can still come in January. And I was so relieved. I go back home, and I spend like an entire semester sitting there doing nothing.
Oh man, you should have been working, dude, to make some money, bro.
I mean, now that I say this, I'm saying it. I'm joking, but back then it was kind of tough, like mentally, because I was like top of the nation basically, and then I see all my friends going to uni and starting their university careers, and I'm here sitting doing nothing, and it kind of took a toll on me. Like I was always kind of the good student, and the student that was always doing well, and now I'm sitting there watching, doing nothing for like in 2-3 months before going to the US, and people are out there like studying and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, it took a toll on me. I was like in my room most of the time. I was irritated. It wasn't good. It wasn't good.
You were frustrated.
2 or 3 months. Yeah.
But why didn't you do something on your own? Just start.
Now
I think your brain was in the wrong place.
Yeah. I was just stuck. I was just stuck mentally. I was just blocked.
And you had none of your friends there because they all went to.
Yeah.
You almost should have moved out. You should have went to one of the universities and just hung out with one of your friends, man. Like hindsight's 2020 now, right?
Yeah.
But the year ends, you pack your stuff, you get over to Indiana, and then once again you're like, what the hell did I just do? There's only corn here. What's going on?
The thing is, I go in January, right? And I'm coming from a Mediterranean.
Oh my God!
I'm going from a Mediterranean country, and I had the beach there. It was warm. Even in December when I left, it was like super warm.
I didn't even think about that.
T-shirt, and I walk into O'Hare. Actually, I came to Chicago, like, because that's the only international flight that was kind of available from back home, and I walk out of O'Hare, and it's like, oh my God, what did I just do?
Yeah, dude, I did the same thing. I lived in New York, Long Island. I went to school by the Canadian border. First snow in October, no sun after November. I said, what the hell? Same thing, dude. That's why I live in Miami now, dude. I finished school and I went, I'm done. That had to be. Did you even have the proper clothing? You probably didn't even have the proper clothing.
No, I had to go like buy actually good like coat that I still have to this day.
And it just got colder and colder and colder. Yeah, man.
Yeah. But I had the thoughts of like now, like maybe that's the first time I say it public, not like first time I say it to another person, but I had those thoughts of like leaving again, but like my head was like, no, you're not doing this again. Like you're staying. You will stay no matter what. We're finishing those 4 years and we'll see. Like we'll finish those 4 years and we'll see. So yeah, I stayed.
But you must have enjoyed that campus. You must have enjoyed the football games and the basketball games, because that's an elite D1 school, even if they're not playing great, they're still playing. And you coming from a sports and seeing that sort of, so you really understand what I'm saying when I'm like, they're destroying this whole sort of culture that you got, at least you got to experience it before.
It was awesome. It was awesome. It was great. And I also had like randomly I found someone from my school that I didn't know he was going to Purdue till I
from
went
your high
there.
school.
We were doing those applications and all that kind of stuff together, but we were not that close of friends. So when that cycle ended, we didn't like talk that much about where we were going. And then I go there and I figure out he's there. And
you figured it out because you ran into each other?
No, we actually like I asked around. I was talking to some other like common friends back home when I was sitting there for like 2 months, and I was like, "Hey, I'm going to Purdue in January," and he was like, "Hey, this guy went already in August. He's
nice.
already there.
So that's
he's
cool.
already there." So I and he ended up being my roommate, and now we're like kind of we're brothers now. We're best friends. He's in California now working. And yeah, like I would say it, if it wasn't for him, I probably would have had a much harder time, especially in the beginning, because he was already there, established. He had like a little group of friends that he kind of integrated me to, and it was great. It was great. I mean, I enjoyed Purdue very much.
I don't think you would have had a harder time. You would have. You got a great personality, dude. You would have met some people like.
Yeah, I mean, know. Maybe, yeah.
I don't think so. I mean, it helped. It helped, right?
Yeah. Given that mental state I was in when I went, it was kind of tough. But I mean, I'm glad it all turned out that way. I would do it again if I had to. Like I would do the entire friends thing again and go, because it actually, like, now that I reflect back on it, it taught me a lot of stuff. Like it taught me that not all the decisions you make must be like final. You know, like you can be kind of flexible, and if you don't feel it, if you don't have like a good gut feeling about it, just don't pursue it, I guess.
Now, dude, you didn't find your soulmate in Purdue, huh? I mean, a lot of people find their soulmates in university, man. So, but like
almost, I thought I did.
You thought you did. You found. Oh, okay, that's fair.
I thought I did, but then it didn't work out, unfortunately. Great person though, great person. Had such a great time with her, but then like at the end it didn't work out, unfortunately. But yeah.
No, but that's a culture shock too, right? I mean, everything's a culture shock for you at that point. Like everybody's different. Like, everybody in the US is different.
Yeah, but then that's where I kind of got into, like, that's why university is where I got introduced into this like kind of entire tech world, and like the American like tech world, and all those passionate people. Like I felt passion with the people I was talking to, like in class and like during like some meetups and like some clubs, and that's what kind of like brought my, because I was good at up to that point. I was good at everything, but I didn't have I just did computer engineering because my parents did that. I was like, that's the only kind of major I know about, and I don't know what else I guess it's like a broad major. It will encompass a lot of things, so I'll choose later. And when I went to Purdue, that's when I kind of fell in love with like coding and programming, and that's what I decided to make a career out of it. Yeah. Did
you have any internships when you were in university?
Yeah,
Purdue should have set that up. I mean,
yeah, I had one during my sophomore year. It was remote because of COVID. It was for like a small startup that was doing GPUs and AI hardware, but at a smaller scale. It was more of a QA role. I was doing a lot of like automated testing. But then the second one was better. It was at a trading company. I was doing a bunch of Python and C++ to kind of do like high what's it called? It's like high intensity, or like it's the word is escaping me. It's like the low latency trading. Here you go, low latency trading. So you had to kind of be down at the memory level, like at the hardware level, trying to hack on things to make that engine go faster. So that was like a really good internship. It was in Philly. I was there for like a summer.
How'd you like Philadelphia? A little warmer.
I love it. I love it. I actually love Philly. I love Philly.
You do? All right.
Yeah.
I've been there one time in my life, or maybe twice.
I was hoping to get a return offer, but then things didn't work out just because, I don't know. My manager, I felt like, I don't know, like the manager I had during the internship was not present at pretty much at all. Like he had a lot of things going on. He had like a pregnant, I still to this day, if you ask me, why did they get an intern to a manager that wasn't going to be there during the summer? Like the dude had like a pregnant wife, and he was literally not there for like a lot of the time. So he couldn't kind of assess what I did. And I like the company, I like the culture, and I wanted to go back there, but it didn't work out. And then, so comes my senior year in high school, and I'm trying, I didn't get that return offer, college, sorry. And I'm trying to get that, I didn't get that return offer. And now the clock is ticking because I have to get a job. Otherwise, I only have like, I'm on a student visa. I have to get a job. Otherwise, I'm like, I only have like 60 days to find a job, or I had to go back. And like, we had this career fair, and I was like kind of roaming around, and I come into this booth of, it's like a consulting company based here in Chicago. It's a small consulting company. They do project-based consulting. And I talked to the guy. They had like this little problem on a whiteboard. And I was like, I think I could solve this. Talk to the guy, solve the problem on the spot. I was given an interview, and I got the job. And I moved here to Chicago in December of 2022, and I started working there for like a year and a half, and I loved. I didn't know what consulting even was, but then the fact that year and a half there at that company taught me so much, like trying all those different technologies, hopping from a code base to another. And I know you always say this. You say that you need to kind of you Bill said this. You need to kind of like in consulting, you need to like kind of leave your emotions at the door and not like be so connected to a code base or to a project, because at the end of the day, you're just there doing something on it and you're leaving. And that's what kind of drove me out of that industry to what I'm doing now, because I thought I was getting too attached to projects, and I was paying way more attention to details than I should. Then I was like, I maybe should work on like a product. I should move to a product role, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hard thing. I have to teach a lot of people that, and not everybody can do it, right? Like,
yeah,
you got to detach yourself from that. Our saying sometimes is, my business partner, I always had a saying, you got to be able to walk away from a place in 30 seconds or less. That's it.
Yeah.
30 seconds or less.
Yeah.
And if you can't, you're too attached. You know, you're too attached.
But I'm like, I love that company. Like the people I met there are like awesome. And it's such a great place to work at. Like the culture was amazing. The projects I got to work on were like so good. I learned so much. Like during this year and a half, I feel like I learned way more than I learned the entire, like, I don't know, my entire like college career in terms of like coding skills and
but of course
programming
skills,
skills.
Right? College is about starting something and finishing it and meeting people, and that's sort of part of your life. Now your work life is where you're going to excel. But how do you, so we're almost out of time here, but I want to hear how you get to GE Healthcare at that point.
Yeah, funny story. I wasn't even looking at a job. I was at a JavaScript meetup here in Chicago. I do a lot of JavaScript. I started doing Go on the side. Through your podcast, by the way, I listened to the Matt Holt episode, and then I started playing around with Caddy, and then started contributing to it.
Nice.
So yeah, that's how I started doing Go. So I'm doing Go and JavaScript. Go more of a hobby. JavaScript, I'm doing a lot of it at my job, along with the .NET stack like C#. So I go to a JavaScript meetup, and there was this talk about Next.js, which is like a JavaScript framework, and how to tie it to like a Go microservice. And I was talking to like a guy after the talk, and he was like, "Hey, we're hiring for a position that involves those two in GE Healthcare. Would you wanna maybe take a chance at applying?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. Send me the link. I'm applying, or give me the referral. I'm applying." Yeah, so he gave me the referral. I applied, and then I got through the entire interview process. got to know the team. My
Wow.
manager right now, he talked to me about like all the stuff they're doing, and I felt like this is. I think I could go there. I also I say I'm not opposed to the idea of working on a product. I'm kind of starting to get tired of this consulting world. I want to try the product environment, and yeah, I accepted the position. And yeah, about like I think exactly a month ago, I started on June 17th. A month ago, I joined GE Healthcare. Yeah, I'm still learning.
That's a month ago. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
learning a lot of stuff every single day. Yeah, still learning a bunch of stuff.
All from a meetup. I love that story. I want people
Yeah,
hearing that, right? You
yeah,
decided to get out of your room, go to a meetup, start meeting people, and
yeah.
then you found your next opportunity.
I mean,
From there.
especially in this like kind of environment we're living in right now, like cold applying is getting tougher and tougher, and especially in my situation, like I'm on a visa, I'm on a work permit. Like it's even harder for me, and I'm kind of like talking to everyone here in the same situation. Like you gotta think out of the box. Cold applying right now, especially as like a foreigner, will probably not get you there. Like you're not it's not efficient. Like you have to think out of the box, talk to people, and you never know. Like I mean,
You
even
never
me,
know.
right? Yeah, I mean, even me right now talking in this podcast, if I didn't come up to you in that booth and talk to you, like I would have never been here. So yeah, like you never know. Talk to people, and you never know where it goes. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not easy for a lot of people to. It takes a lot of sort of strength and
Oh,
energy to put yourself out there.
oh, you tell me. I'm like super introverted. I'm super shy. Like by nature, I'm super shy, and I had
Come
to like
on,
work.
bro.
I had to work on it. Like you would see me in my first year here in college when I came here, and I didn't know anyone. I didn't know the language that well. I wasn't that good in English, like speaking wise. I was good at like taking tests and writing and all that kind of stuff, but like talking, I wasn't that good. And I mean, you have at some point you have to either work on it or like yeah
No,
or
but I
yeah
not being able to speak would definitely, I could see, hold you back because you don't want people laughing at you and
yeah
stuff. Um, but I think you really do have to work on, like, not you, but I
yeah
can be an introvert too, dude. Look, there are times where I'm just tired. I just don't want to be doing anything, right? And I can just, or even at a dinner table, sometimes I'm just like, especially if you've been going all day, right? The last thing you
mhm,
want to do is sort of be going all night.
yeah
But even the meetups are good for all sorts of people, right? Eventually you
yeah.
get comfortable enough to talk to anybody there. So
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like go for the first time and don't talk to anyone if you don't feel like it. Just watch the talks and go the next time, and eventually you'll a conversation will come out of nothing. Like you would be sitting there and you'd be talking to people. And it's easier when you're comfortable with the subject too. Like if you find a talk that you really enjoy, then you feel like you have insights on that, or you've been working on that tech stack or whatever. It's easier to like bring up a conversation on
all right. So have we're out of time. I just
it.
got a
Okay.
couple more questions though.
Yeah.
And so it's really exciting. You're just starting at GE. So we'll see where
Mhm.
people like spend their entire lives there. I'm sure you got somebody that's like 20, 25 years in
Oh yeah, oh,
around
yeah,
you, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. My
Are you,
manager's been here for like 18 years or something
I
right
know, aren't you worried
now.
about that? Are you, that like would
I,
scare me. Like,
I
can you
mean,
see yourself? I mean, you're only there a month, but you
yeah.
realize that there are people there that never leave. It's like Hotel California.
We'll see. Like throughout my story, I think you notice a tendency of me. I don't know. Like I, I don't. I tend to like not get super comfortable in spaces, and I tend to like try to move around. So we'll see how this turns out. Because like when I joined my first company out of school, I thought I'll be here for like 6, 7 years at least. And then like a year later, I'm like, yeah, I'm not opposed to the idea of leaving. So you
I
never
don't know.
know. You never know. I don't know.
We don't have enough. We don't have enough data yet because I don't
Yeah.
think you were making a lot of decisions solely on choice. I think you were
Yeah.
making a lot of decisions based on. Um, I'm not going to say you react. I'm not saying you've been reacting, right? But at some level, this has happened. So now I got to do this, or I didn't like that. So
Yeah.
I think this is your first real test because you could do a lot of things in GE.
Yeah.
I'm not
And
going to say
also
you're
like
in GE healthcare.
yeah, and also it's like it's a big company, so like moving around is also a possibility. So maybe not being with this team forever, but maybe moving to other teams, working on other stuff can get me to stay. But yeah, we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah, man. No, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot you can do inside of GE. So
Yeah.
yeah. All right. Have your parents visited you at all in Chicago yet? Have they made the
Yeah,
trip?
yeah. My mom came with my brother when he was joining school last year, and then my dad also came 4 months ago. He was visiting. We had a really good time.
What's
It's
the
good.
first thing you did? Was there something he wanted to see in Chicago, or you were like the tour guide? You're like, Dad.
Oh, I was like the tour guide. We did all the like architectural tours, the museums, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
All right.
yeah. He loved it
You
though.
didn't
He loved
take
it. He
him
was
to a
like,
ball game though. You have to go. You got to go to Wrigley, dude.
oh, we
I
went.
mean,
We actually went. It was NBA season back then, so we went to like an NBA game, to a
okay, that's
Bulls
fair.
game. But
That's fair.
baseball didn't start. Hasn't started back then. But
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
hopefully, if he comes during the summer, I'll take it. I actually live like 10 minutes away, a 10-minute walk from Wrigley. I'm like in Lakeview. I live in Lakeview,
Oh,
so yeah.
I saw a game when I was in Chicago that
Yeah,
week, man.
I saw on Twitter.
That
Yeah, I saw on
was
Twitter.
awesome, dude. Are you, because you lived on the coast? Even though I lived around water my whole life, I'm not really into boating and stuff.
Mhm.
But you do have the lake there, so if you're into boating, you can still. I mean, there's decent boating.
I mean, I'm not into boating, but I'm so into like activities around water. Like I'll just go run there or swim or even like
You're
play
swimming in
some.
that lake. People
Yeah,
swim in that lake.
people swim in that lake. Yeah, we have like concrete beaches is a thing in Chicago. Like you'd have a concrete like surface, and people are like laying there
Okay,
tanning.
but not in the city proper. I imagine you drive out 40 minutes or something around.
No, like here, like it's like literally 10 minutes from my house too. Like you would go there and people like swim in that lake. Yeah.
And it's clean?
Yeah. It's pretty clean. They clean it. They clean it on a regular basis. Yeah.
You know why I'm panicking? Because somebody got a great idea in Miami, God knows how many decades ago, to run a pipe 2 miles sort of into the ocean to dump waste.
Oh.
And so my brain is always like, that's a major waterway around a major city. Like, what is the city dumping in there, man? I don't know if I want
there's like an entire story about it. If you go on the architectural tour here in Chicago, they will tell you it. They will tell it. It's like they dumping somewhere else away from like the lake, itself. So yeah, it's clean. Yeah, I go there, I swim, I play some soccer there with my friends a couple times, like here and there. I run there a lot. So yeah.
All right, that's fair. That's good. I mean, you're gonna get some water in your mouth. There's no way around it, dude. But I rather sit by the water and have a drink than actually get engaged in the water. So, but that's kind of cool because you have some of that back being in.
Yep.
But hopefully, you got to get down to Miami, dude, and you're gonna feel more at home down here.
Oh, I want to go there so bad. It's one of the few cities I still haven't had the chance to visit. I'll probably
You better let me know, man. My wife and I love to take people around, man.
I'll take you on it.
I'll show you, man. I'll show you. All right, we're totally out of time, dude. And you didn't think that we were gonna have enough to talk about over an hour and a half. And look at that.
Yeah, I thought I only had like, I don't know, like 6 years past high school. I'm like, what are we gonna talk about? And here we are. Yeah.
No, man, your family's too fascinating. I want to get your parents and your brother on this show now, dude.
Hopefully.
I got too many questions, man.
Hopefully.
All right, dude. Yeah. All right. If anybody wants to reach out and talk to you after the show, what's the best way? We'll put it in the show notes too.
So my Twitter would be the best way to reach out. It's at RMADI Aziz 1. So at Ramadi Aziz 1. It will be in the show notes, I guess.
Yeah, it will be in the show notes.
But yeah, so Twitter, GitHub, ARMADI 1809. That's my GitHub, and yeah.
Yay. Okay. All right. So this is Bill Kennedy Aziz signing off from the Ardan Labs podcast. We hope to see everybody again real soon.